Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our second year of the Tech Connect Thursday powered by WEtech in partnership with Invest WindsorEssex, FedDev Ontario, Clair College, University of Windsor, as well as Workforce WindsorEssex. So my name is Sam Branton. I work here at WEtech Alliance as their manager of talent programs as well as experience. And I have the pleasure of overseeing WEtech's talent programs and initiative, including this Tech Connect program. I could not be more excited to invite Picsume to the virtual stage today. So I'll first give a little bit of a background on Picsume and then introduce our two panelists here. So Picsume is on a mission to redefine hiring. They began with a vision to transform the traditional resume, providing dynamic work profiles that match candidates to their ideal jobs. Their core values of innovation, efficiency, drive them to create a seamless experience for both candidates as well as employers. Picsume is also making big moves in area of growth and has recently secured $1 million in funding for expansion, which is awesome to see for our region. So what is Tech Connect Thursday? You may be wondering if this is your first session. It is an opportunity for those curious about working in tech or those who are currently working in tech to help make connections and learn about exciting career opportunities, industry sector insights, trends, as well as initiatives going on in our region. So our goal here is to help you meet some of the fastest growing tech and innovative companies that we have here in our region, as well as organizations that are leading the way in the tech industry. So we hope that Tech Connect Thursday helps plug you into the Windsor-Essex and beyond tech scene. To date, we have hosted over 10 sessions with over 10 businesses and organizations and over 650 students as well as professionals. But to be considerate for others, we do have just a little bit of housekeeping items here as we are on Zoom. So you may not be able to see all of our attendees, but you will have ample time to engage with our guests. We're going to have a very short presentation and then some question and answer period time as well. So if you want to join the discussion, feel free to use the chat feature located at the bottom of the video. If you have a question for our guests, you may submit it in the question and answer box as well. And then finally, this presentation is being recorded and a video file as well as relevant links will be made available on WEtech Alliance's YouTube channel, as well as included in our follow-up email that will have all of the great resources and links that you may need to stay connected. So now I am very pleased to introduce our guests from Picsume. We have Candice Dennis as well as Nick Mastromattei. So Nick and Candice, welcome to the stage here. I'll hand it over to you to deliver your short kind of remarks on a little bit of what Picsume is all about.
Great, thanks, Sam. Hello, everyone. I'll jump right in and thank you for that brief introduction, Sam. I'm just going to share my screen here, bring us into the right mode here and present for you. So again, thank you, Sam, for the wonderful introduction. I wanted to provide you guys with a bit more about Picsume and show you some visuals so that you can really kind of envision what we talk about in redefining hiring. So Picsume, yes, we're a hiring platform, eliminating the need for the traditional resume. And that's through the use of live dynamic profiles, which you're seeing here. Live dynamic profiles contain all the relevant, pertinent information that a traditional resume would. We step it up by providing more information to allow and content to allow job seekers to truly showcase their skills and differentiate themselves. You'll see they have the option to put a profile picture. The introduction video is my personal favorite, 30 to 60 seconds to have an opportunity to really showcase your soft skills and have an opportunity to meet that potential employer, which we've lost over the years in going digital and tech through how we apply for jobs, right? So then there's options like your highlights, your availability section, even your transportation, so much more. And this is all broken down and based on structured data that now is allowing job seekers to match with truly ideal opportunities. A fun fact on here for you guys, I don't know if you know, but the resume actually dates back to 1482, with Leonardo da Vinci being the first recorded person to create a resume and looking to apply for a job, looking for work. And so we thought it was time to innovate and change. And so here you see what that is. You're also seeing that there's a print to PDF version at the bottom. We're also allowing job seekers the opportunity to download this content into a PDF, which will enable them and empower them to find work anywhere, on any platform, in any context. They can share with unique links and also QR codes. This is a quick version for you guys of what the Live Dynamic Work Profile offers for job seekers. On the other hand, we talked about, Sam mentioned, both sides for both candidates and employers. So this is just a quick view of what the employers see. We keep that streamlined, simplified process on both sides of the platform, making it easy for employers to post jobs, just following step by step, just the same way we do for onboarding with candidates. They have a few options to post their job. They can start from scratch, they can import an existing job, but they can also import a job posted elsewhere. They then share that job and take their candidates into their applicant tracking system, which you're seeing here, a simplified applicant review. So no more sorting through resumes, no more waiting for, hundreds to come in and go through them there. Every candidate is offered the same opportunity. As long as you've applied, whether you're the first or the 500th, now the employer can search through with unique criteria, filters that are good for them, that work for them, so that the right candidates are at the right roles. On-platform communication makes ghosting a thing of the past. We're hoping to make make things transparent and provide communication right on platform between employers and candidates. Take it one step further, because another thing I love is the shopping for candidate experience for employers. Even if they haven't posted a job, or whether they have, they can go outside of those who just apply and look through our global database, once again, on that filterable, searchable criteria that works for them. I love this so much for the candidates, because right now, while you may have a resume that's sitting on your computer or perhaps on a Google Doc on your Google Drive, it's not out there working for you. As long as you keep your profile visible while you are sitting anywhere, employers could be searching for you and looking at opportunities to hire you while you haven't even known the job opportunity was there. So just a quick visual on both sides of the platform for you guys, so you can get a little bit more of an understanding before we jump into some question and answers. This is the Coles Notes of Picsume.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing,
Yeah,
Candice. That provides our audience members with a little bit of background as to the power that Picsume has. But this session, we're going to be focusing on both ethical AI as well as some hiring tips and best practices for networking from Candice here. So I'll perhaps start with a few questions for Nick surrounding the AI component of things. So obviously, Picsume has just announced that they are expanding and growing with some investment. How would you say AI has contributed to Picsume's growth as well as success? And do you perhaps have a couple specific examples that you can share of how this has helped you grow?
Yeah, absolutely, Sam. Thanks so much. So I'm Nick. I'm the CTO of Picsume. And so essentially, the way we've utilized AI from the beginning is really being cognizant of all of the manual workflows that hiring managers and candidates alike have to go through as they're going through the hiring process. One really unique way that we utilize Picsume and that supported our growth early on is that we wanted to make the resume parsing experience. So when a candidate comes to build their profile, they upload their resume. We've seen some that are atrocious. Essentially, you have to start again. You have to begin from scratch. And we said that can't be the case here at Picsume. What we need to do is make sure that all the data that we're pulling in is well structured and validated for the candidates once they're going through the process. So we use AI to actually read the resume, and then we extract all of that information and put it into this structured data fields, as Candice showcased previously. That ensures that all of the information that we're pulling out is pertinent, relevant, correct, and up to date. That way, when the candidate builds their profile, they only have to do it once. They don't have to do it for multiple times for multiple hiring companies. And when they export their profile, we know that through the utilization of AI, we've made sure that all of the information that's part of the profile is structured in a way that an AI system or an ATS system can read it. So we've actually gone through a number of iterations of that PDF export. I think we're close to 18 different versions. Now we've come to two separate ones. One where is a really fun and readable version that you can export, and then we have like an AI friendly, which is one column, a little bit more simple, and we know that that's super effective. So we actually score in the top 90th percentile for applicant tracking systems when you're sending out your resume from that. On the employer side, we've actually implemented tools like AI job descriptions. So we've gone ahead and put in all the information that's relevant about a job and some basic requirements, and then we actually generate the job description. So we're helping to actually reduce the amount of time that we get from the beginning to the end. And I think there's some other questions coming up, but I'll leave our actual matching algorithm to a little bit later, and we'll talk a little bit more about what that's going to look like.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. So I know as well you are related with the Alberta Machine Intelligence Institute, and some of our individuals on the call who are a little bit more familiar with AI may know more on this than myself, but perhaps you can share just from a high level, what role does the Alberta Machine Intelligence Institute, or AMI, play in guiding your approach towards ethical AI?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question, Sam. So the Alberta Machine Intelligence Institute, this is actually our second year as part of it. So we were fortunate enough to be part of the CTO Level Up program, excuse me, in 2023. And then they actually invited us to be back after they saw all the progress that we made last year to be part of it for a second year. And now they've really introduced some new programs. So they're sponsored by Google, which we were able to leverage some of their Google Cloud Platform incentives and tools. And so what we're doing alongside the Alberta Machine Intelligence Institute, AMI for short, is we are building one of Canada's first non-biased matching algorithms. And so what does that mean? It's so really, really interesting process that we came into play is that we realized that candidates on resumes that they're submitting to these AI systems or these applicant tracking systems, there is so much personally identifiable information there. We've seen resumes with passport numbers, social insurance numbers, and even payroll and banking information included in that. And that's a huge risk. These resumes are getting put into unsecure databases. They're getting put into maybe Excel spreadsheets or just standard email inboxes. And we don't know that there's the right security protocols around those. And was having such sensitive information is high risk for companies. And so what we've done is we've actually taken the time to ensure we're doing this properly and effectively. What we do first from the candidate standpoint is we actually encrypt all of the PII. So we look to find all of the personally identifiable information and we tokenize it. So that means it's never given to any AI system. And this is a really important step to ensuring long-term privacy and ensuring legislative compliance for the long run. A lot of things are changing in Canada, especially how we're going to be using AI and technology in the future. But ensuring that we do that and we separate it was a huge part of our collaboration with AMI because they are for the forefront of ethical implementation of the AI solutions. The next part that we do after we take out the personally identifiable information is we take only the objective info. So the skills of the candidate, their proximity to work without giving their address. We give the previous work history. We give some education information without including any of the PII that might be like dates, which could lead to ageism and other factors that could lead to bias. And so once we take all of that information out, we only give the LLM or the large language model very clear objective data. With that objective data, we're able to match it to the job description and get an output of a matching score. The biggest thing that we do with our matching score is we don't automatically disqualify anyone. We want to make sure that everyone is still included in the hiring process, but we help the employers who may be inundated with 200 plus resumes that they've received from a simple position down to the top 20 or top 30 that they should begin to look at. Through that process, they have a good starting point of understanding, hey, these are my best qualified candidates. Let me start here with the interview process. So this entire system that we've set up, we've really taken our time to go through it, and it's part of what we've worked with with Amy, but also alongside the federal government to build out this ethical and non-biased process. On the flip side, really quickly, we're also introducing that same AI algorithm to match candidates to prospective jobs that they might be best qualified for. And so we're really excited about bringing this technology to the future. So that way, not just employers, but candidates are having a great tool where they're recommended the jobs they're best suited for, not just anything that they think is available on the market. So quality versus quantity going forward.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And I know, especially with this sort of AI explosion that we're seeing, these ethical questions are definitely important to be considered. So thank you for doing so. So now we can maybe perhaps talk about some challenges. What challenges has Picsume faced with some of this AI integration? And perhaps you can maybe share how they've been overcome.
Yeah, absolutely. So the biggest challenges that we face are ensuring that our speed to market is not interfering with this long-term compliance or ethical capabilities, right? So we're really taking our time. We absolutely could have introduced this early on and said, hey, let's just throw a resume into a large language model and give it the job description and give us a score. But we knew by doing that, we weren't going to head down the right path in the long term. We would have had to rewrite or go back to the drawing board and figuring out how to do this properly. So, the ethical portion of it, the legislative portion of it, ensuring that it's done right the first time has been our biggest challenge, and also trying to bring this to speed. The other part of it is finding great talent. Sometimes it's difficult to find team members who have had long-term experience. Now, we've really just recently started bringing on AI team members, and we've got such a great team. We've got a lead data scientist behind us. We also have 2 part-time AI and machine learning engineers who have joined us recently, but we're going to be ramping up in the resources required in that area. And it's such a growing and new field. It's really up to the team members we're looking for people who are excited to learn and really to get their hands dirty and get into figuring out how to do this effectively and efficiently with us. The last part that I would say is, as far as the challenges are, ensuring that we have the right models and iteration of documentation that we're going through. So as we build these tools and as we go through the process, we want to make sure that we're documenting it very clearly, our decision-making process, and ensuring that we bring the right decision-making to the table and being transparent, not just of how we're building it, but what the steps we did to get there. So this is a big process that we've done internally, is we've really focused on documentation and evaluation and really a scientific approach to our model development. So I hope that answers your question around the challenges and some of the things we've done.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. So you've shared a little bit about how this works from both sides, from the employer side as well as from the applicant side. So my next question is, what role does AI play in the recruitment process, and how can job seekers leverage this knowledge to their advantage? So if we know that this sort of process is being driven by AI, do you have any specific advice for these individuals who are trying to succeed in this area?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we know about the initial process when the candidate applies for a job is, obviously we know that there's an ATS system often, or especially in the larger companies that they're applying to, or some type of optical character recognition, right? And so that's why you definitely want to start with the format of your resume, ensuring that the way that you're documenting the skills and the information, your previous work experience, is forefront to the actual structure and how you're putting that data together. That is such a key piece, because as there's more and more applications on market, people are looking for efficiencies, and so without the right format and structure, this will get lost in that first read. So you could use Picsume, but there also are other resume template builders out there if you want to leverage them. Of course, our tools are always free for candidates, but that would be the first and foremost the place to start. The second piece would be putting together not just a list of all of your skills, but really understanding your previous work history. And you could leverage AI to go in and say, hey, these were all of the things that I did in the past. Can you help me inference and understand what skills that I should put on my resume based off of this previous work history? It's such a big part of what we think is the future of placing people in jobs, is that you might think that your previous history only lends you to 2 or 3 positions or 2 or 3 roles, but really the skills that you learned could cross different job roles or job industries, and apply those skills into other positions or roles that you may have not considered before. So ensuring that you understand how your skills can be effectively applied is a great opportunity to ask AI, hey, here's what I did in the past. What other things could I do with this information? The last thing I would say is don't allow AI to write your resume for you. I think this is something that we talk about a lot internally. It dehumanizes the process, right? Use key points, allow it to give you guidance or a leverage on what you should talk about, but don't allow the LLM to write it for you. Write it yourself. Continue to put that human aspect in your applications, because still hiring managers are reading these things. A human is still behind this hiring process. So go ahead, write it with integrity, write it with humanity, and put that human touch that makes you so special and different.
I'm happy that you said that. And I feel people, if you're on the internet in any capacity, you can probably start to tell. You can almost see the AI. You can see it from some people's writings and posts and things like that. So definitely can see, if, especially if we're looking to stand out, how adding that human element would definitely help benefit the resume there. All right. So what advice would you give to students, professionals, or startups that are looking to leverage AI to help themselves grow or expand?
Yeah, awesome question. So I think the biggest thing that we need to focus on as a tech community, especially here locally in Windsor, is really getting to work and applying yourself and just looking for opportunities to test technologies that are out there, right? These I know that the schools, especially St. Clair College and University of Windsor, are starting to do a lot more programs and looking at AI as an opportunity. But it's really up to the individual to dive in, look for objective use cases that they're having trouble with, whether it be through the hiring process or otherwise. Talk to their friends or family who are business owners, and look for opportunities to apply AI efficiently and effectively for those companies or the problems that they're facing. So it's always been about taking a step outside of the regular institution and looking what opportunities are available in your community that you can leverage AI to apply. And so by doing that, that's how you're actually going to learn. It's hard to learn, a programming language. It's hard to learn about technology unless you're applying it actively. That's always the best way. Is direct immersion and understanding it through the context of a problem. And so that would be my biggest point of feedback is, if you're looking to learn more about AI, find a problem, use it contextually based on that, and you're going to learn and grow exponentially in this way, other than just reading about everything that's out there. It can be so overwhelming with technology changing so quickly. Get into a technology, learn about it, and apply it to a problem.
I think that's some great advice, and not too complicated either, which is good. All right, Nick, last question for you. How do you see AI transforming industries beyond recruitment in the near future? Obviously, you have a lot of insights into this industry, so just looking to pick your brain here.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is such an exciting part. It's like, it's an industry agnostic technology, right? Which means it can touch so many different aspects of implementation. The 3 things that I see most often, number one, as part of Amy, is seeing all of the healthcare startups that are applying artificial intelligence. And I think this is so exciting to know that we're going to have some additional tools to help the healthcare system that's in Canada and also abroad, to support doctors and nurses and anyone that's part of this administrations to effectively diagnose, support treatment, and support in the wellness plans of these patients and individuals. So I think this is a super exciting industry that we see AI making leaps and bounds. The other part that is obviously dear to our community and our local economy is manufacturing and automation, right? And so it's actually something I grew up with. My dad was always in robotics, and my brothers are currently, robotics engineers, and we constantly talk about the evolution of AI and how it will fuel the automation industry and machines and robotics. So vision systems and the great things that the Optomotive team has been doing locally in our community. I think they're just really taking the car and running with it, literally, with their tools. So it's so exciting to see the leaps and bounds that we're going to be able to accomplish in automation and manufacturing through AI.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing, Nick. Now that we have sort of a background overview of Picsume, as well as some insights into the ethical AI component, we will switch to speaking specifically with Candice to ask some questions on networking and how to sort of get the best of Picsume and skills using that. So Candice, perhaps you can share some best practices for networking and building connections. And particularly for our audience, we're mainly going to be focusing on the tech sector.
Yep. Absolutely. So, and I know we're going to focus on tech, but networking is just absolutely incredibly valuable across any sector, right? And not just for job opportunities, but what is the reason you're looking to network? And so we'll talk a little bit more about that. So there's a ton of different channels you could take too. But before you decide what you're going to do and how you're going to get started, know your purpose of networking. That's huge. What are you going for? Again, is it job opportunities? You're looking to find work? Are you looking to collaborate on projects, find people to work with? Maybe you're learning about a specific field or looking for more information in something new. That's what you have to know first, or else you're going to spend a lot of time talking to people and building maybe some nice friendships. But what is it you're trying to get? And if you don't know what the objective is, then it's hard to get there. So keep that in mind first. And as you're doing networking things, if there's any insight you can get on the people that'll be there, look for that first. If you know there's a list, that can really help kind of just give some little breakers, be able to get in there and feel comfortable about who you're talking to. So knowing your audience is always important. One great way you can network is, of course, through social media and online communities, right? So you want to take advantage of things like LinkedIn, maybe it's Twitter or different Slack communities, right? Things that might have like-minded people that you can meet with and chat about different things. And again, what's that goal? What's that objective? And make sure those groups kind of match that so that you are talking to like-minded individuals and taking something out of those sessions. Attending conferences or even virtual sessions like these are important, right? Tech conferences are a great way to network and make sure you get into some of those breakout sessions and attend those talks. And the biggest thing in networking is, and I think maybe we'll talk a little bit about some skills, but it's coming out of your shell and it's being able to talk to people. It's being able to, again, know what that objective is and then go get it, right? So don't be afraid to go talk to some of the speakers, to start conversation with people. And of course, you don't just want to talk about yourself. And we'll kind of come around to that as well. You'll want to engage in sharing knowledge. So, again, find groups that maybe Nick spoke to it really, that are studying new tech, that are maybe, looking at some things like that, where you have this shared goal, and you can learn from each other and share those experiences. Too often, there's this competitive approach always, and I know it's a very competitive world and a competitive industry, but the more we can learn from each other, we can grow together, and that should be part of your networking efforts. If you have the skill set too, write blogs, right? Get out there. People read this kind of content, especially in tech. Maybe you don't have the skill set, but you're learning. document that, blog about that learning experience. These are all just great ways to open up kind of your network. And I'd say in everything, make sure you stay, curious, and be authentic. Okay, so it's so important, and that again comes with just kind of coming out of your shell and really wanting to talk to people, getting those insights. All of this can come together a little more naturally when you're truly being authentic, and that curiosity, truly being interested in what somebody has to say. Practicing that active listening goes a long way. People remember the people that took the time to listen to them, and not just heard them. Reiterate that. Talk back, ask more questions. That engagement will help you be remembered. One of the things I've said across my career is you want to be, I say, make it home to the dinner table. Be remembered at the end of the day. These are things that will help you throughout your career, no matter where you end up. So if you can keep those things in mind, be thoughtful, be authentic, I think that's the best way for you to build the professional network and really attain your career goals.
Thanks so much for sharing. I really liked your piece on authenticity. I think that makes people be memorable, and it's also a really good way to show people, whether it's someone who could refer you for a job or even to a friend, that you are a trustworthy person. So definitely an important piece of this, and that sort of leads us into our next question. So what would you say are some of the most important hard and soft skills that professionals should look to develop and succeed in today's fast evolving tech landscape?
Yeah. So yes, I mean, hard and soft skills, so essential and so important. And I'll be real frank and honest and transparent. This is really my first role in this tech space. And I'm eager and excited to continue to grow and even learn with you guys in this. My background is network infrastructure, sales, and project management. So there was an element of tech, just much different than what we're talking about here today and what I'm involved in with Picsume. So as those interested in tech, you may have a better idea of what some of those hard skills you're looking at are. But I'm going to throw a few out there because, again, you want to make sure you're looking at relevant areas to grow your skills. Hard skills are essential across any industry, right? This is the stuff that you need to have in order to get the job done. So, you might be looking at being, a coder and programming. Maybe, Nick talked about it. We have a data scientist on our team. So you might want to look at, the analytics and the data science part of it. Cloud computing, and I mean, cybersecurity is huge, right? AI, machine learning is something we've talked about. So there's a number of hard skills, and you'll know what you're interested in and what you want to go after. But you'll always want to continue to grow these hard skills. These hard skills will continue to allow you to evolve in the industry, and that goes for anything. The soft skills, that's how you get the job done. That is if and how you get the job done. How will you work well with others? Your soft skills, I mentioned it in the video, right? That's that opportunity to show somebody how you do things, how you speak, what kind of person you are. I might have all the skills to get the job done. How am I going to fulfill that job? How am I going to get that done? So some things, especially in tech, to consider, are you adaptable and flexible? Because in this fast-paced landscape, it's constantly changing. So you have to be adaptable, and it's crucial to be able to move and be flexible with what is needed and as it's needed. Problem solving and critical thinking is huge. How will you analyze problems, and how will you find innovative solutions for those problems? Communication, right? Communication is an absolute big one, especially in the tech world. Can you communicate technical information to non-technical stakeholders, to non-technical people? How can you communicate? Can you communicate across a variety of teams? Can you communicate with your marketing department as well as your development team, as well as everything? So communication is really big. And that goes hand in hand, I think, with teamwork and collaboration, especially in this very remote world, right? We've got to be able to communicate well and work effectively across a number of teams, collaborate with others. And nothing I'm saying here is actually specific. It works for tech, but as I think about it, these are just skills that are absolutely essential in how you're going to do things even day to day, right? So time management and organization. Are you aware of deadlines? Are you deadline driven? How do you manage your projects? How do you manage your time? Well, you can effectively do something with your hard skills. These soft skills are how you get them done. I don't want to forget about like emotional intelligence. This is really important because if you don't have self-awareness, if you're not empathetic, right, these things are invaluable to employers and absolutely also lead to great management skills typically. So if you're looking to become a leader in this environment, in this landscape, these are some of those things you'll need. And I would say curiosity is another big one, right? It goes back to that learning, continuously wanting to take on these hard skills, learn more of those skills, showing that curiosity, that you're interested in learning more goes a long way. Knowing someone wants to be a sponge, wants to be that person that maybe can even work in a few different roles in your space. How can you work? And so that I think that curiosity just again plays that huge part in for an employer, especially how can this person be utilized to the best of their abilities? How can you make every day easier as well for your team, for your employer, for things of that nature, right? So we need both. We definitely need both hard and soft skills often, but those soft skills are really how we're going to get those things done. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. I think, and maybe I can speak a bit to this because I have a little bit more of a tech focus when speaking to students. And sometimes we can get caught up in the hard skills and say, this is my resume and these are the skills that I have. But a lot of it I find will be actually from interacting with people within the ecosystem. Like, are you well acquainted with everyone who would help you get to that next stage, and how are your soft skills when you're having those conversations? Those are really important things that sometimes I feel get a little bit overlooked, as well as sometimes even you say soft skills, but having a more softer approach when you're getting to meet someone at a networking event, even not just jumping to how they can help you, but perhaps how you can help them, or maybe even just making, an introduction and leaving those questions for
well, Sam, I'll close with one more soft skill then, because having the ability to read and understand body language, these things are another great skill, being able to match someone's energy. So I live up here. If you guys can't tell, I live way up here, but sometimes you're dealing with, a different energy, and you've got to be able to match that. If someone's energy is much higher, try to come up and if you're traditionally not, because trying to match that energy will lead to I think really positive and engaging, memorable conversations.
For sure. I think that builds rapport with people, for sure. So definitely some great tips. All right, one more for yourself, Candice, and then perhaps we'll jump into one or two for both of you, and then we'll jump to Q&A from the audience. But do you have any tips for navigating career growth in rapidly changing industries? Obviously, tech is wildly changing here, but do you have any tips or tricks on how to stay on top of these trends?
Yes. I mean, it's difficult in anything that's fast moving and fast paced, right? But I think some of what I'm going to mention and suggest is kind of already been discussed, right? It all kind of goes hand in hand. And so just continue to develop skills, not just the soft skills we're talking about, but those hard skills, right? So just keeping up, continuously learning, keeping up with trends, following tech news, knowing what's going on and what's relevant is super important. You're going to want to prioritize like learning the high demand skills. So you might have been focusing on something for a while, but there's a shift. If you're not paying attention to AI, you should be, right? So what are you looking at, and are you keeping up to date with what the highest demand skills are? Machine learning and cybersecurity, or things of that nature. And then even as Nick said, experiment with new tools too, right? Go try to find solutions to things. Again, I think that'll help deepen that adaptability, right? Being able to use new skills. Again, this is all just developing that education, those hard skills, what you have and how you can continue to find opportunity in an ever changing environment. I would ensure that you set some goals for yourself too, because you could chase your tail all day long if we haven't set real goals for what it is you're looking for. So kind of define your direction. You know, what is it you want to do? Short and long-term goals. That might be just, it might be attaining a certain role. Maybe it is gaining those new skills, setting some goals for those new hard skills and the education you want to gain. Maybe you're looking to transition to a different area. Maybe you're feeling a little spent, a little burnout, a little tired. If you don't know what the goal is to get that, then it's going to be very difficult to continue to be in this changing pace. And reevaluate them. Don't set the goals and do it once. Just like anything, we've got to reevaluate what things look like in a few months. Am I getting there? Am I still on track? Why am I not on track? What's changed? Reevaluate the track you're on in order to keep going, right? And then build a personal brand. I'd like to say I know a great platform for you to do that with. But as you're working on these projects, networking, collaborating, gaining your skills, make sure you're showcasing this stuff. Make sure it's out there. How do people find you? So you want to kind of create a personal portfolio, maybe share some insights and projects online. Again, the more you spread out and put yourself out there, the more I think you can continue to change pace with the environment. And then we've talked about it. It's that networking, you know, it's meeting up, it's conferences, it's keeping your ear to the ground about what's changing, what opportunities are out there. Again, it's great to think, I want to learn these things, but are they relevant? Are these things relevant, and are they the things that are moving in the tech space? And can you change with it? Once again, if your goals don't align with what's actually happening in the environment, in the market, and the landscape, then you're just kind of running in the opposite direction. So that's why we've got to continue to reevaluate there. Gosh, I could go on forever, I feel like, with this. Pursue management and maybe leadership opportunities as well. I think these are great ways to kind of stay on the forefront and stay on top of the changing landscape. I hope these are some some good ideas and I'm on the right track for you guys, Sam. You know, you maybe want to start by leading projects too. Maybe you're not in a leadership role yet, and how would you get there? So maybe start by volunteering to be a leader in some of these smaller different groups that we've talked about. So volunteering to be a team lead is a great way to kind of say, okay, or putting a little group together yourself. We're going to lead this. We're going to jump into something new, something we haven't tried, regardless. How you want to get there, putting yourself out there to lead a small team without being in a management space is a great way to start working on some of those leadership skills and figure out too if it's the right thing for you. Management is not for everyone. Being a leader is not always, doesn't always mean management either. So kind of really differentiating what it is you're looking for, again, goes back to those goals that can really help you navigate as the tech space continues to change.
Awesome. I think those were some really great insights. Some of that I try to apply even to my own career, like you were talking about keeping those goals top of mind. When I meet with my boss, we go over my KPIs for the quarter, but we talk about them every meeting, just bringing them to the top of our brains so that they don't sort of get forgotten or you lose sight of that sort of larger goal. And then I think you also talked about the importance of building your brand. I really appreciate you sharing that sentiment. And I actually have a blog coming out for WEtech in the coming months surrounding that. So keep your eyes peeled, participants. All right. If it's all right with everybody, we've got 15 minutes left here. So I wanted to firstly congratulate and thank you for joining the session, as well as congratulating both yourself and Nick on the growth of your company. So we'll move into the question and answer portion. So we do have a few questions from the audience. The first one here is, how does Picsume address profiling from employers? It seems like an employer with a bias can decide to interview a qualified applicant based on information gathered from a photo. whether this be tattoos, piercings, or racial identity. So how do we address those biases with Picsume? And I'm not sure if that's for a specific person or either person can take whichever they prefer.
I think both Candice and I will have a really neat take on this, or interesting take. So one of the things that we identify is that obviously we're working towards reducing bias in an AI capacity, right? Because that has one of the first early points where bias can be introduced, and we see this as a risk. So what we've done from a data perspective is put those guardrails in place. But what we know from the truth is that humans are inherently biased, and we can't remove this part from the hiring process. We cannot take away what happens after we recommend a candidate from a purely objective standpoint. However, some of the things that we are looking to introduce in the point as we go along is to actually redact all of this information. So anything that is can signal a personally identifiable point of bias. Maybe it might be from a photo, maybe it might be from a surname, maybe it might be from where or when they went to school through ageism. And so what we're going to explore as we roll out some of the features in our employer side is to redact all of this information. Some employers may choose to redact it so that their first interaction with the qualified candidates that gets sent from our system is a purely objective one. And from there, they can decide to interview and move forward. From that point, we cannot control the flows of how people make decisions or how they choose. So we have to also understand that we can only do our best to provide the tool sets that are available to reduce bias, but we cannot inherently remove that from the process. You don't need to put your picture on the PDF profile, but it is something that we do encourage from the actual profile creation itself when you're reviewing through them. It also gives us a great understanding of like who this person is, and just giving us an insight of like a little bit about their personality when you see a photo. It's a really nice thing that when we go through our hiring process, we definitely appreciate those applications with profile pictures.
I'd like to just jump in and close as well. I discuss this often with candidates, and for me personally, and as Nick said, it is an option. But in most of the hiring I've ever done, pre-Picsume, I would go to social media and I just find out what that person looks like anyhow. And the truth is, it's an unfortunate world we live in where we're worried that somebody may be, judged by the color of their skin or the tattoo on their arm. But that employer is likely not changing their bias from not seeing your photo to the time you walk in the door either. So at some point, we've got to work together. And I say all the time, that's where if you're going to put up a photo, back it with the video. Make sure you're putting up a complete profile where you can try to break maybe these biases and show the employer that, no, I am smart, I am talented, I am skilled, and I am the right person for the job.
I think those are some great insights. And I was going to add, with that sort of elevator pitch video introduction, you're able to sort of showcase a little bit of your personality and perhaps some of those soft skills. So I definitely see value from the video introduction for sure. Even when I was working in sales before, one of the strategies that was pitched to me was to send video messages on LinkedIn to introduce myself, to show a little bit of my personality as well. So I definitely see the value in utilizing that tool for sure. We have one more question here about AI legacy systems. This one's for Nick. So hi, Nick. Any views on AI legacy systems like mainframe, which are widely being used in banking or insurance industries?
This one is a doozy. Yeah, this is very interesting. I mean,
I'm sorry.
no, it's a great question. I mean, I think to preface it is that I don't have experience in those two industries, but what I do know about those two industries is there's a ton of data that has been collected and essentially harvested or stored over long periods of time. The point of caution in which I would say as part of these things is that it's also very sensitive data. So applying AI needs to be done in a very ethical way, and ensuring that you are any of this information that you're going to interact with has the ability to, sustain long-term legislation of how you're going to use it within any AI system. So there are open source LLMs out there, and there are ways that you can build your own models and keep them stored onto a local server, so the actual data doesn't go out to the larger LLMs for training. So I would just say that there is a great opportunity in both of those industries because of the amount of data that's available to introduce AI and machine learning. Just to proceed with caution and ensure that you're aware of what the repercussions are for to utilizing that data and how you might go about it in the best practices.
That's great. Sounded like you knew how to answer that to me. So, all right. We do have a few more here. Oh, there is one question. Just give me one moment here.
In the Q&A section.
Okay. It's in our Q&A section. So it says, first of all, thanks for the guidance. I liked your energy. Second, I wanted to talk about Picsume first. Will Picsume be integrated with existing hiring platforms like Indeed, or will it replace similar platforms like Indeed or LinkedIn?
Yeah, Candice, you want to start? Then I can.
No, you run with it, Nick. This is good for you. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So one of the things that we noticed between those two platforms is that one, on the Indeed side, is that we get a ton of feedback that people don't like to use Indeed. And while it's such a huge and widely utilized tool, the user experience is not the most optimal. And so that's what we decided was going to be a little bit of a shift in our opportunity, was to give this fun UX and this really friendly experience, familiar experience back to our implementations. Now, from the employer side, we are looking to integrate with Indeed and LinkedIn because there is such a large pool of candidates and people that are available looking for jobs there. So using the employer side to push their jobs out to these platforms and allowing people to apply from it. On the LinkedIn side, we really see this as a social network. And this has really been a social network for professionals mostly. And when we started Picsume, we really looked at the opportunity of hourly and shift-based workforce, which is very, very much underrepresented in this process. So the in real life workers that go out and they have to go to retail jobs or restaurants or things like that, manufacturing, and they are often not found on LinkedIn, or they don't have many opportunities there. So that was the biggest shift of where we started from a platform standpoint, was how do we help to support these underrepresented workers, really the people that are entering the workforce for the first time that may not be well suited for LinkedIn. So those are the two things that we wanted to, I guess, touch on from those 2 points, is that we are not inherently different, but we are changing the way of familiarity, better UX, and serving an underrepresented workforce.
Awesome. I wasn't sure, Candice, if you had anything to add to that, or ready to move on to the next question.
Not really. I guess my final thought would be, LinkedIn for me, yeah, it's social media. And honestly, I don't know if I am a professional, and I'm on LinkedIn. I like LinkedIn. I often say to candidates, throw your LinkedIn link within your about section on your profile, drive people to further information if you'd like. That said, I don't know if anyone's ever had a real job offer on LinkedIn, or if they're just all those recruitment messages that constantly come. It's I think I'm bombarded with messages of just spam, and which is so unfortunate as well.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing. We have another one in the chat here. What are current challenges with ATS systems, and is there anything that an ATS system overlooks when evaluating a resume? Is the first question.
Yeah, so I guess the current challenges with ATS systems that we've seen from the employer perspective is that the ease of use, some of them become very inundated with long workflows, and the UI is not great. And so that was one of the things that we set out, was to make it really easy and pleasure pleasure to use system. So from an ATS standpoint, we have the ability to customize different hiring stages, send out message templates. We have on-platform messaging that also sends out to email and SMS. We're looking to implement omni-channel communication, which means that a message can be sent from our dashboard out to WhatsApp, SMS, and email, and have that two-way conversation going forward. So I think these are great opportunities where the ATS system also allows the difference being in our dynamic work profiles. So a lot of ATS systems, they take in the PDF resume, and then you have all of the people in a digital format with many different formats of resumes. From a hiring manager perspective, this is overwhelming. You get through 20, 30 resumes, you might score them, but they all look different. It's hard to find the information. You can't search it. It's not easily filterable. So this is where our dynamic work profiles come into play, of making it a much easier and more pleasurable experience, being able to filter the information and really drill down to the core candidates that you want to continue with.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. I think we have about time for one more question, and I see this one was asked twice, so I'm going to choose this one. It says, how would you optimize your resume or Picsume if you have various skill sets and qualify for multiple roles? For example, if you have experience or skills for data engineering and or cybersecurity, how do you incorporate that into sort of one profile or one way of expressing yourself?
Yeah, so I'll jump in and say, first off, I would anticipate that you have a resume, but you may have several right now. So even when you start with your most robust, get that in there. The system will scrape that information to create the foundation for your profile. And then from there, you would add in those additional skills and experience. The one thing that we say is, I'm a big believer, we're all a big believer, that everything we've done in our work experience, all of our skills make who we are for the next employer. But because we can't send out 10-page resumes, we create a different profile version of who we are with each resume we send out for different roles. We believe at Picsume, your live dynamic work profile is a full picture of you in the workforce. So you'll have the ability to put as much job experience as you'd like on there. You have up to 15 skills that are, again, based on structured data that you can consider, and put the variety of those skill sets in there, because anything that's on your live dynamic work profile can be pulled out through searchable, filterable criteria. So again, yes, you are going to want to, and it is tough, I think, for job seekers to wrap their head around that they've got one place that identifies everything they've done, your full skills, your highlights, your experience, all of it. Now, from there, again, with the print to PDF, you can create a variety of templates so that you are choosing the experience and the areas that work for you on each PDF to apply to work outside of the Picsume platform. I hope that helps answer it. I don't know if Nick, you have something you want to add.
I'd say that's a great answer. All right. So that concludes the time that we have today for Q&A, but we'd like to thank everyone for their great questions. And if your question was not answered, we would encourage you to follow up with our guests on LinkedIn. So a big thank you to Nick as well as Candice for their insights today. So before we say goodbye, a few important announcements. So firstly, if you're interested in starting your own business or getting free resources on how to do so, we do have a free upcoming session of Innovation Blueprint happening here at the Joyce Entrepreneurship Center on November 21st at 5:30. So feel free, the link is in the chat there if you would like to register. And we are also in the midst of planning some great other in-person events coming up soon. So please stay tuned for that. You will see that there is a poll on the screen now. Your feedback is important to us. So if you wouldn't mind, please just take a moment to answer the poll for us. 10 being if you would likely recommend this session to someone else, or 1 being unlikely. So we'll use that feedback to improve future sessions. As well, we will also be sending out a wrapped email that has all of the links and resources that you may need from this session. So you should see that come out very shortly as well. So this concludes today's Tech Connect Thursday. So a big additional thank you to Nick as well as Candice. Thank you for attending. We hope you enjoyed today's session. And as well, big thank you to Aislinn for the behind the scenes event production. So until next time, stay plugged into the regional tech scene. Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.